Hi friends, it's Yana here today, and I'm coming at you with another set of free sewing patterns for gifts. So today we're going to be working on a set for mom or for really anyone in your life, but I think I'm calling this the mom pocket because it's a simple and cozy and just a nice thing for a mom. I mean, I would love it. I might keep this stuff, or I might make them again for myself and probably give it to my mom because, you know, that's probably the nice thing to do. But anyway, there are 3 patterns on this set, and these patterns are all free. I'm going to attach the link for all of them below, so go grab them, come back and sew them with me. I think these are going to be super simple and super fun. So the first one is a robe from Mood Fabrics. Is the floor robe. It is just a comfy cozy robe. It has an option for pockets, which I'm not adding pockets to it. I'm just going to keep it simple. And I'm using like a mohair fabric, which is like fuzzy, so I think it's going to be super comfy. The second one I'm doing is a towel wrap. So it's a towel, like it's a head wrap that you use after you get out of the shower and your hair is all wet. Instead of putting a bulky towel, you use this little head wrap, and it keeps your hair, you know, drying while you're doing something else that you're doing or whatever. Very cool. And then the third one is a set of slippers from Petite Stitchery. It's the Whittaker slippers. Also, I hope that they're going to be super simple. I've never made this pattern. This is my first time. Actually, this is actually my first time making any of these patterns, but I think we're going to be okay. With the slippers though, I don't have the non-slip soles. I have some fabric for that, but I don't know where I put it, so I won't be adding that today. But if you have some of that, then you can definitely add it to make it non-slip. So I probably keep this pair for myself and go grab some non-slip and make some for my mom because, you know, I don't want her slipping everywhere. All right, let's get started. Alright, we're going to start, and let me tell you, this is going to be very interesting. I ran out of my main fabric, so I had some of this fabric that is basically almost the same kind, but I just cut it all, Frankensteined it. We'll see. The sleeves are shorter than they're meant to be because I didn't have enough. The steps will be the same, and we will end up with a robe. I just don't know how long or any of those things, but we'll get there. But, okay. First of all, this is what, you know, sewing, sometimes it's about going with the flow, and I am definitely going with the flow on this one. We're going to start by sewing the shoulder seams of our backs to the front. So here's my back right side up on my mat, and I'm going to grab my fronts, if this lets me and doesn't slide off. I'm going to grab my front and match the right sides. Now make sure that here is your arm size, so this will go on the side. So just make sure that your front, the straight part, is what you're keeping here at the front. So I'm going to put this one on this side and this one on this side. These marks right here are where my loops are going to go on the outside, so I know that this is my outer edge. So I know that this is my arm side that's matching here. So we're going to match up here at the shoulders. While we're at it, we're going to turn this sideways and we're going to sew those side seams. Now here where it says, where it has these little marks, if you're going to add loops for your strap, you would place your loop in there. I didn't cut my loop yet, so I'm going to go ahead and cut a little loop real quickly. That looks about right. And so you would just fold it and place it on there. If it's a knit, you could just place it on there, leaving the saws raw. But if it's not a knit, you are going to have to finish off the raw edges. So you can fold it right sides together, sew it at the sides, and then turn it around and get it on there so you can put it in between the 2 layers and sew it while you're sewing the sides. You can also use something else for it, like a cording or whatever you want to use for that. I might omit mine and just not worry about it on this one. Like I said, this robe is going to be kind of put together by, you know, I don't know, but we'll see. Okay, so now I'm going to sew those 2 sides, right sides together. I think it's going to be good. You know, you go with the flow and you don't worry about it too much. Especially with a project like this, a robe is so easy because it's just an oversized item that you throw over things. So it's not like you have to be precise on all the little details. Okay, so that one side is together, and I'm gonna sew the other side as well. All right, so I'm also gonna go ahead and prep my sleeves. So let me bring my sleeves over, and I'm gonna fold them right sides together at the outer raw edge. Make sure this is my right side. At that outer raw edge, you can see my sleeves a little bit shorter than they're meant to be because, again, I ran out of fabric. So I'm gonna have shorter sleeve on mine than you will on yours. Once we sew that, we can go ahead and hem the bottom of our sleeve, which mine is a little bit crooked, so let me fix that. Y'all are probably watching like, she is a mess. A little bit, but I also want you to see the reason why I wanted to continue and why I didn't just go get a different fabric is because I wanted you to see the end product. And I want you to see that sometimes, you know, with sewing, you just kind of go with the flow and plans change and you just let the sewing project take you where it wants to take you. And that's what I'm doing with this one. I'm going to sew the other sleeve as well, right sides together. And I'm going to prep my neckband. No, that's the belt. Here's my neckband. And I'm going to match that edge, the top edge together to create one long band. Now, I will tell you that my band is shorter than my robe because I also did not have enough length on this one, which means I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it on, and then at the bottom of the hem of the robe, once I go to hem it, I'm just going to trim off where this ends up. Whatever it is that I have left, I'm going to trim that off and hem it. All right, now I'm going to grab my robe, which is already pretty much put together. And on the wrong side, I'm gonna fit right here where my arm is. I'm gonna fit my sleeve right sides together. So I'm gonna turn my sleeve right side out and I'm gonna fit it right into that hole. And I'm gonna match the seam that we just created here at the bottom. So those seams, you match them together, right sides together. And then match the top of the sleeve, and you're gonna match up all those raw edges right sides together and go around the whole circle. So there's one sleeve. I'm gonna do the same on the other side for the other sleeve. I did not hem my sleeve yet, but that will be done. I can do that at the end when I'm hemming the bottom of my robe as well. All right, so there's those two. Now it is time for the neckband. I'm gonna match those shoulders and go to the backity back and mark it. And right side out, so I'm gonna lay my robe kind of open. Here's my shoulders, here's my neck. I'm gonna grab this neckband I created, I'm gonna fold it wrong sides together, and I'm gonna match where that seam is at the middle and match that at the middle where my middle is. And then I'm gonna go all the way down, right sides together to the front of the robe, all the way down that side, attaching that band. So we go down one side and then we will go down the other side when we finish with this side. And we're gonna attach right sides together. There is so much fluff. Hopefully once we sew it all together, all the edges, then the fluff will come down. All I know is that this robe is going to be nice and cozy. All right, we're gonna go sew all that, the sleeves and all that around, and then we'll hem after that, and we're almost done. I have my belt pieces here, and I'm also going to match those right sides together here at the raw edge. You could start this neckband at the bottom, and then that way you just go straight, but I'm just gonna start on the back since like I said, mine is shorter. So then I'm gonna start on the back and then come back around. All right, you all, my robe is coming along. Now for these edges, if it's kind of wavy on you like this is because of this fabric, you would just go in. I'm gonna put probably a cloth on top of it and steam it, and that will bring the fabric back together and give you a very smooth edging. Here at the bottom, like I said, for mine, my robe is longer than my band because I didn't have enough. So I'm just gonna trim that, and I can actually make my back a little bit longer than my front if I want to. Then I won't trim as much. I'll just go down like a dip, and then I'll come back up on this side. Then what I'll do is I'll hem here at the bottom. Now they want you to do like, they give you like, I think it's 2 inches for hemming, but I'm just gonna go 1 inch because of the fact that I had to cut some of it off, and I still want it to be long, not super long, but long. So if you're using woven, you're going to fold up and then up again. Since I'm using a knit, I'm just going to, actually I'm going to serge the bottom first, and then I'm going to fold up and top stitch it because this does shed. So that's what I'll do. I'll serge the bottom and then I'll fold up and top stitch my hem down. I'll also do the same for my sleeves. I'll serge the bottom and then I'll fold up and hem. And then for my waistband, I'm going to fold it right sides together, and I'm going to sew it right sides together along that edge, starting here at the corner. So you have like this pointed edge here, which is kind of cool. And then I'm going to go all the way down, leaving a gap somewhere in the middle where I can turn this around. And that's it. We'll be done with this project. Easy and quick, even with my chaoticness of running out of fabric. All right, all we have left to do is to turn this strap around, and then once it's turned, we just top stitch that gap opening and we're done. Now if you're like me and you missed a whole gap, you gotta turn that part back around and redo it. So I'll go do that, sew in, top stitch that other side, and then we'll be done. All right, friends, we are finished, and honestly, it turned out really well. I'm not upset about any of it. The length of the sleeves, even though I had to trim it down by a couple of 2 or 3 inches, it still fits great. I mean, I could do a little bit longer, but because this is a knit fabric, it does stretch on its own a little bit, so I think it works out just great. I would have probably, and I did not actually hem it yet. I just did the serged edge. I might leave it that way. I wanted to before I hem it to see how long it was gonna be, so I'm not sure yet if I want to hem it or not, because the serge edge almost looks like a rolled hem, so I think it's fine. For the length of the robe, I think it works out great, even though I took a couple of inches off. Then when I hemmed, I did not hem as wide as they say to hem, so I kind of compensated for that. Again, this fabric combination might not have been what I would have thought to do, but now that it's all together, I think the cozy factor of this robe is amazing, and the color is really pretty, so I love it. It turned out great. Also, on this pattern, there is an option for patch pockets, but obviously we didn't do that. But if that's something you wanted to, it's on there, so it's great. All right, so now let's move on to do the towel wrap pattern. All right, time for the head towel wrap. Now, I am going to be using just a regular towel to do this. So what's really neat is that this towel already has that hem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to omit that seam allowance and go right, place that seam allowance up. So it's not, I'm not gonna cut the seam allowance on here. I'm just gonna cut around the outside. And then that way I don't even have to hem the front at all. The hemming's already done for me. So that saves an extra step. If you have towels, if you want to turn them into, like if you're not making this as a present and you want to turn an old towel into a wrap or whatever, you can do that. that's what I'm gonna do on this one. And then I might, if I find at the store a cute towel, use that, or you can use like a terry cloth or some microfiber fabric or something like that if you want. I could turn this around and I could make another one just right here on the other side from this same towel. So I'm getting a couple of them, but I will have to hem the front because that's the edge over there. So I could just go ahead and get another one out of this. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. That way it's already prepped while I'm here with my cutting tool. All right, so now I've got, instead of one, I've got 2 towels. Now, the next step I need to do, they are already right sides together. I cut it right sides together. We're gonna cut around the whole outer edge and all the way down at the bottom. So this whole, all the way around the top edge. All right, now I'm going to go sew all the way around. Because this fabric sheds on the one that has the raw edge, I'm going to go ahead and serge it. And I totally missed my matching up my seams right here, my lineups. Oh well. One thing I forgot to do with my pattern was to label where my buttonhole is gonna go. So you can just go ahead and mark that on there from your marking. And you do it on both. Now on this one, because the hem is already done, all you gotta do is tuck in this tail. Sometimes I like to just fold it over and top stitch, or you can just tuck it through. So you'll tuck that one and this one. And then what we'll do is we'll open up the, on this one, because, oh, you know what? Let's finish up this one first, this other one. Now, I finished up the raw edge with a serger, so I could literally just leave it this way. I think I might, but if you didn't, you would fold it in and you would top stitch it to hem all the way around. So you would go ahead and hem it, and then before, well, actually, before you even hem it, you can go ahead and grab your elastic piece. You want a piece of elastic that's just gonna go like around your button, and you're going to attach it right there. Now, if you're hemming, then you want to place it on and baste it before you hem, so that when you hem, it gets tacked on. But since I'm not hemming, I'm just gonna go over to my sewing machine and zigzag stitch this little elastic on there. So this is where my button's gonna hang on to. So I'm gonna do that for this one and the other one. And while I'm over there, I'm gonna tuck in these tails. Top stitched. Now I'll just trim it down and it'll be on. Now, like I said, for this little tail, I like to fold it under. I probably should have done that first and top stitch it down to the edge. Then I can just cut that off, the extra thread. Lastly, we're going to, like I said, trim all those extra edges and attach your button to the right side of your cap. Right where you made that mark on the back. Right there. There's my mark. Right there. So here is our cap, and it goes, this is the right side, and then this back, just twist around in your hair, and then you button it up, and there it is, all finished. All right, friends, we are finished with our towel, head towel. And I've been wanting one of these for a while, so I'm glad I finally went ahead and made it. It was so easy. So let me show you how it works. So your hair is wet because you just took a shower. Well, mine is not wet right now, but let's pretend. So you will flip it down and you will tuck your hair in there. And then you'll grab the sides. Hold on, let me make sure it's tucked in. It's harder because my hair is dry, so it's not just staying in one place when it's wet. And so you're gonna twist it, and then you're gonna flip this back here where this elastic is and tie that to the button, latch it to the button, And there it is. We have our towel. And now you are free to walk around, do whatever you're doing, do your makeup, whatever. And you don't have to worry about holding that towel in your head because it's gonna fall over. And it's light, it's not heavy, so it works great. And it was so quick to make. Perfect. So now I'm gonna go ahead and work on my slippers. Time to start with slippers, and as you can see, I've cut all my pieces. I've got my batting, I've got my lining and my mane, and for the soles, I've got my lining, I've got my batting, I got my heavy interfacing, and I've got what I'm going to use for soles, which is just the canvas fabric. And what I'm going to do to make it non-slippery is I'm going to try doing some hot glue dots. So I'm going to hot glue some dots all around it and try to see if that will help make it non-slippery. And if it doesn't work, then we'll try some other things later, but I think that will work. I've heard about that before. So now I've separated into like the feet. So here's like my left foot and my right foot. So I'm gonna do the same things on the each foot. So I'm just gonna explain it on one, and then we'll be doing it for all of them. We're gonna start with the toe area, which is this part right here. I'm gonna put my lining away. Here's my batting. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my pattern piece, and I'm gonna grab a water soluble, and I'm going to mark those lines, which is where I'm going to top stitch. Now, like, how do I mark those lines? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab some scissors, and I'm actually gonna cut along those lines because I want to mark those lines, so that's where I'm going to be doing the top stitching. I'm not going to cut it all the way. I'm going to leave like a little place right there at the top where I can, so that I don't lose my pattern pieces. But I'm going to like move them up and just trace those lines. I also marked where the toe is going to be. Now face up, I'm going to put that batting behind it like so, and I'm going to pin my toe to my batting because I'm going to go to my sewing machine and with a straight stitch where those lines are. All right, now that we've got those lines sewn in there, I'm going to grab my lining and I'm going to place it right sides together, and I'm going to sew the bottom edge right here. All right, now I've got that finished. We're going to go ahead and flip it under like so. So now I've got my lining on here and my outer on here. You're gonna steam it, but I'm not steaming it right now. I'll steam it a little bit later. Now we're gonna put those aside, and I'm gonna work on, oh, and you baste this edge. You're gonna steam that and baste this edge over here together. So it would be wrong sides together. But I'm actually not doing that step right now because I'm gonna put it aside so I can do the next step and do this at the same time. Okay, so now I've got my foot, and I'm going to grab the non-slip right side. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter to me because I'm going to be adding the sticky stuff later. So I'm going to assume this is the wrong side up. Then I'm going to, on top of that, I'm going to place the fusible interfacing. So I don't really have fusible interfacing, so I'm just doing regular interfacing. So I have to be very careful when I'm attaching it on because it's not fused, it's just laying there. Then after that, I'm going to put the batting on top. So I've got this like sandwich of sole. So the sole, the non-slip would be facing out. So on top of the back of that would be the interfacing, then the batting on top of it. And then what I'm going to use is, right now I would fuse them together, but because I'm not able to fuse them together, I'm going to go ahead and just either, you can spray and bond if you want to, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to just baste these together at the outer edge so they don't come apart later. And I'm going to do that for both, and also baste the lid or the toe box. All right, let's put our toes together. We're gonna grab our lining of our foot, and we're gonna grab our toe box, and where the toe goes, we're gonna match that up here with our lining
So it's right sides together, the linings will be touching, and we're gonna start pinning here at the top and go all the way around. I'm not doing the binding version, I'm doing the lining version. So that's what I'm going to continue with. If you're doing the binding version, then you'll end up binding, but I'm only lining. Once that's spin, we're going to baste that together. Once that's basted, we're gonna grab our sole, and here's the bottom of our sole. We're gonna place it right on top of the slipper, and we're gonna sew all the way around, starting here at the back, all the way around, leaving a gap to turn it all around after, and then top stitch it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go baste, then I'll put this on top and top stitch it. The more pins you put, the easier it is to sew, and leaving that gap. And we're gonna do that for both. These are looking super cute so far, and they've been super easy. So now, like I said, I'm gonna grab this piece and I'm gonna place it right on top. See, here's the sole. I'm gonna place that right on top, and we're gonna pin all the way around on both. Okay, remember to leave a gap here where you're gonna flip them. Actually, I wanna leave that gap on the side. So we'll leave a gap here on the side. It's easier to do it top stitch the side than the round. All right, we'll leave a gap right there. Now we're gonna trim the toes and allowances, all these allowances down. Make sure not to cut the thread though. Don't want to cut the thread. I like the corners. You can cut like little triangles if you want to. Now we're gonna, right there where we left that gap, we're gonna turn it all around. And we are done with our slippers. We just need to make sure that we poke everything out. And if we have a gap like this, now we've got two gaps, so we gotta close this gap by folding in that seam allowance and top stitching it or hand stitching it closed right here. And if you were like me and you left a little piece right here, you'll also do the same thing. Tuck in that seam allowance and top stitch it. This is one of the good things about doing binding, is that you'll bind all the way around, but this one you don't bind. But you can top stitch around it here at the back. And that is it. I'm gonna do the same for the other one, and we'll be done with our cute little slipper. Isn't it so cute? I love it, it's so adorable. Now, if you have thicker fabric, lining it probably will not work for you. You may have to bind it instead. Lining works for me because I use those thin fabrics. And so it's not like a super thick slipper. And actually, if you left a gap here, you can put in some thicker, fold it up and put in some thicker stuff in there, and then just top stitch it in place, like do a little pin tucks in place. That would be another option to do too. But this is going to be perfect for around the house. So cute. I'm gonna go top stitch right there. I'm just gonna do it with my sewing machine, but hand stitching would be make it not noticeable at all, and you are done. All right, friends, last but not least, we are done with our slippers. I think they turned out super cute. They are so adorable. They were super quick to make, so that was great. And yeah, I think what only thing I need to do is to add the little silicone dots. I think I'm gonna do some hot glue dots on the bottom so they're not slippery. They're super soft because I use that plush lining. I think they are really, really cute. Now, if you're using the plush lining, you need to be careful because they're a little slippery. So like even when I'm putting them on, they're a little slippery on my foot. But once I do the silicone, I hope that that fixes that a little bit. Also, the top on me, I have narrow feet, so the top is a little bit loose, so I would probably tighten it a little bit.
but my mom's feet are a little bit bigger than mine, so I think these are going to be perfect for her. So cute. Alright friends, I hope you enjoyed these tutorials, these quick 3 little cute things for mom, but really for all of us, because I think these are going to be perfect for just around the house and all that stuff. So I hope you enjoy them. Please comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't so you never miss any of our other ones. I think the next one is going to be teens, and I'm hoping that I can get to it sometime soon so you have it for the holidays. But I just have had so much fun making these little tutorials because I'm learning about new patterns and free things that you can use as gifts. Even if it's not just for the holidays, you can make this for presents, for other times, or for yourself. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!